Hello everyone, this is the Mass Analyst. I'd like to start out by thanking Burke from the Encyclopedia Dramatica and Yahweh Clan for sending me a link to a rather disturbing story. It seems like Big Brother is watching you, and he may be watching you to see if you're watching Big Brother, the television show that is. Now, as you may be aware, Viacom is right now suing Google. They've been suing Google/YouTube for about a year and a half, I guess, and they allege that YouTube is violating their copyright on a massive scale. And if you look at the most viewed videos, you do see a fair number of videos that at least look to me like they're probably copyrighted material that shouldn't be there in the first place. So it looks like YouTube might be violating the spirit of the copyright law. However, it also looks to me like YouTube is following the letter of the copyright law. Whenever they receive a DMCA notice from Viacom, they remove the videos, at least as far as I can tell. As far as I can tell, YouTube is in compliance, but there may be there obviously are things that I'm not aware of here, so I really don't know too much about. I don't want to say whether Viacom's case has any merit or not. From looks of things, probably not, but I'm not in a position to say. Well, out of this lawsuit, in the past day or so, the court has decided to force YouTube to turn over our usernames and our IPs and our video viewing history to Viacom. So Viacom will get all our video viewing history and our associated usernames and IPs. And most of us would find that rather disturbing news. Certainly, this is not information that we would volunteer to give Viacom on our own. When we signed up to watch movies, we certainly didn't volunteer for Viacom to get its grubby little fingers into this information. There are a few silver linings to the situation. It's not quite as bad as it sounds. First of all, the court has not ordered that YouTube to surrender our real names to Viacom. Viacom will not get our true identifying information. Unfortunately, for some of us, if you have your IP and you have your username uh, and the viewing history, it might be enough for them to piece together who you really are. Especially now, some people put their real names inside of uh, they base their usernames on their real names. Not a smart thing to do in my book, but it's possible Viacom could theoretically, at least in some cases, figure out who we are based on the information they have. Another silver lining is that the court has ordered Viacom to use this information only in their lawsuit against YouTube. They cannot use this information to come after us individually, like the recording industry goes after individual users who download music illegally. Viacom can't do that, or they will be in contempt of court. They've also been ordered to safeguard this data. So this data shouldn't escape Viacom. They should safeguard it. What's disturbing is that who knows, there may be a negligent employee within Viacom, or there may be some employee who doesn't get the memo, or some rogue employee. So we're at the mercy that Viacom's employees are competent and they'll get the memo and they'll do their duty with vigilance. If not, some of that information could fall into the wrong hands. And the third piece of good news is that this happened at the lowest court, and it's quite possible and I think likely that Google will appeal this part of the decision. Now, I've been kind of harsh on YouTube in that I've been very critical of the way they force us to turn over our docs if someone files a DMCA against us. Even if that DMCA is a totally false one filed by someone with malicious intent. I've been critical of YouTube for not doing enough to protect our privacy against possible predators. Here I must praise Google and YouTube because it looks to me like they filed the court documents, and in those documents they told the court this is not respecting our users' privacy, our users have the right to privacy, and the court basically flipped YouTube off. So it looks like YouTube is trying to fight for us in this situation. I find it a little ironic that they're willing to fight to keep our information which doesn't include our real names, by the way, but our other information out of the hands of a mega corporation, yet they're not, at least from what I can tell, willing to fight for us to keep our names out of the hands of potential psycho slashers. The cynic in me will say that the reason for the discrepancy is that if YouTube were to turn over this information to Viacom too easily, then a lot of people would leave YouTube. They don't want their viewing history known to others, and a lot of people would just leave YouTube, whereas YouTube doesn't have quite this self-interest in fighting on the DMCA front. I could be totally misreading it. That's just a cynic in me, but that's one way to read it. Now, it'll probably take a while for us to know the fallout of all this, but I've got a suggestion that YouTube could use that would help it win a big propaganda war against Viacom. Now, if I were in YouTube's situation, I would make a video. And before I describe the video, let me preface once again that I'm not a lawyer. There may be legal reasons that YouTube wouldn't want to do this that I'm not aware of, but assuming that there are no legal objections, YouTube should make a video. And in that video, they should say, the DMCA really disturbs us. We don't like having to force our users to turn over their docs to someone on the mere allegation of copyright infringement. We don't like it at all. But that's what the law says we have to do. We want to fight it. We want to lobby Congress to try and change the law to allow our users to be able to file counter notices without giving up their docs. They shouldn't have to give up their docs unless a court subpoenas us to turn them over and gives the user a chance to quash that subpoena. And only after they've had a chance to quash the subpoena, and if the court says you must give us that information, only then should we be forced to give the information. So we want to change the law to protect our users. Now, Viacom, your name is Mud. All you have to do is do a search on YouTube. Plug in the words Viacom and YouTube and look at the results of the past day or so. You'll see several people already who are calling for a boycott of Viacom. And this anger is only going to spread as more people learn about this decision. Here's how you can clear your name with our users. Here is how you can look good, Viacom. We want to fight the law. We want you to join us. We want you to help us lobby Congress and get them to amend the law so that the mere allegation of copyright infringement is not enough to force someone to give up their docs, to give up their personally identifying information. Will you join us on this quest? Will you join us in helping us protect our users? Now, if YouTube made that video, it puts Viacom in kind of a tricky situation. Either Viacom can go along and say, yes, we value the privacy of your users, we think that's a good idea, we'll help you lobby Congress. Now, if they do that, then I predict the law will change very quickly, because Google / YouTube and Viacom are very powerful, and they can hire very expensive lobbyists, and when they speak, if they speak in unison, Congress will listen. On the other hand, suppose Viacom says no. Suppose Viacom says, fuck you, YouTube. Fuck you, YouTube users. We don't care about your rights to privacy. All we want is when we say that you're infringing on our copyright, we want your personal docs. To hell with the legal systems, to hell with protecting your anonymity, to hell with your constitutional right to speak anonymously. Now, if Viacom were to take that approach, then it would stir up a hornet's nest of animosity against them. There are a lot of people who use YouTube, and this doesn't just affect the people within the United States. This ruling, by the way, it looks like it's going, whether you're posting from Japan or Mexico or Russia or wherever, China, looks like your docs are going to end up in the hands of Viacom anyway. But it's going to stir up a lot of animosity if Viacom was to say, fuck you, YouTube, on this request. And this could provide an environment for radical change of the copyright laws.